Two buildings proposed in Uptown Normal, and the Design Review Commission held a special meeting today to discuss where they might be. The proposed development, two six-story buildings that would have apartments and space for business groups, altogether 210 new living spaces expected. The commission asked for more previews of what the building would be like to study where shadows would fall and other concerns. They want that information before they make a decision.
These two developments, they have been a topic of discussion for quite some time. The intent of these buildings and the plan was to, bring more residents to live in Uptown and support businesses and add to the vibrancy.
One speaker had concerns about how the buildings would look, fearing it could clash with existing building designs in Uptown. The commission talked about window placement, where the signs would go and how large they should be. They meet again July 13th.